It's gonna read the thing on the back of the book as a promotion thing. Publishers here, there are books available out there. All right.
Dirt cheap, in
Dirt
fact.
cheap. We don't want to have to take these back with us.
That's right. Especially Grant's book.
The proper window open with this thing. All right, in these 5 heart-bitten tales, P.I. Hayden Fuller searches for a missing girl while tangling with a sex ring, mixes it up with nouveau jamais, while dealing with a domestic abuse case, investigates his father's murder, and tumbles into a cult and a leader who wants to dismantle the universe. Dukes it up with Nazis in Vanderbilt Pop 1201 and their Will of Triumph, featuring mechanical dragons, and stumbles through a demimonde of underground filmmakers while busting up a sex trafficking ring. Fuller, with his fists and a snub-nosed 38, unpacks a host of lies as each narrative builds to a shocking end. His is a pure journey, for in the dark, Fuller finds something more than night. And that last line is a quote from Raymond Chandler, not about me, but about detective fiction. I'm Grant Tracey from the University of Northern Iowa. I edit North American Review and one of several editors. I wrote literary fiction for a long time, and around 2015 I started shifting my focus to crime fiction, which is where my real passion is. For years I got beat up in workshops, told you can't write this stuff. No, I don't give a shit. Alright, so shot, reverse shot. This is the last story. There's 3 novels in the collection, then a novella, and then there's a short story. This is the short story. I'm just going to read 3 quick little chapters from it. 1. A weird-looking fellow leaned with the sway of the door. His eyes were covered by a makeshift mask constructed from the inside reflectors of a car's headlights. I could barely see the person peeking behind long metal cones, the shape of construction zone pylons. I was here to find the girl. Mordecai Zucker. We shook hands. His was clammy. Fuller. Hayden Fuller. I know who you are. You played with Belleville last night. I nodded. I was a grinder, back in the NHL at long last after a 2-year forced retirement. Anyway, Rajan Bouldieu, my teammate and our flashy high-scoring winger, called me mumbling something or other about 1,000 oysters and his girl being out of control. Could I come and get her? She was making a scene, dig? So here I was at this party at Place Jacques Cartier in a converted warehouse at 2:30 in the goddamn morning. I don't drink, so the fellas count on me to be their designated driver. Never mind that I had a post-game headache that 2 Anderson had done nothing to take care of. Zuger ushered me in, smelling of gasoline. His clothing was of the limited costume budget variety. He was naked. You must be here to get our Lucy. He introduced me to the fellow standing behind him, sporting a gas station attendant's shirt and nothing else. My makeup guy in DP, Mark Harris. Makes all those hockey cuts and stitches look real, he said. Zucker was filming his first ever mainstream film, Fire Wagon Hockey. Harris, a big guy with white set eyes and a flat top, went on and on about Lon Chaney and his use of makeup, something about fishing wire and putty. I feigned interest. A haze of pot drifted from the ceiling like low-slung hammocks. Pale white bodies shimmied to thin jazz. Dots of pink powder and ashtrays of crushed cigarettes ran across a low-end coffee table. Mark drifted to the dust. Pink cocaine. That's a new one. Cocaine? Zucker laughed. Cocaine? No, that's the latest in uppers. Another laugh. An inside joke, I gather. He pointed upstairs. Lucy. Naked men with saggy chests and partial erections gathered around, placing specks of powder under their tongues. Young women jostled about like crashing white caps. Suddenly, a woman with a blonde beehive, heavy lipstick, and a red dress lacquered across her body brushed high-riding breast against my arm. It wasn't accidental. Barbara Channing. Some party, huh? She had green eyes and a voice of smooth Scotch. Zucker was her husband. No more grindhouse circuits for them, she said. This film is down-home entertainment for the masses, and it has the backing of the provincial government. But they still cut corners, filming with old stocks, World War II seconds from the National Film Board. That stuff is highly flammable, you know, but it keeps the production costs low. Across the room was their benefactor, a short fellow with tight curly hair, bushy eyebrows, and a walking stick with figures, a man and a woman inside a glass hexagonal handle. He was part of the church hierarchy under Duplessis in the 1950s. Gave $70K to jumpstart our project. Said what we're doing is culturally significant for French Canada. Your last grindhouse film was Quasimodo, about a hunchback in a diaper looking to get laid. She showed her good naturedly at the ignominy. The Duplessis fella, also on a limited costume budget, scratched stick figures across the chests and hips of two girls. One had high cheekbones and appeared to be from the islands. The other had raven hair and a cluster of moles along the back. Seems he's got his own immersion program happening right now. That cracked her up. Henri Ducat, she said. I had heard that Barbara and her husband were Splitsville. Don't believe everything you hear. I nodded. Her husband grew up above a service station. He lived for the mix of octane fumes with a taste of breakfast, scrambled eggs, and toast. Today, their film studio is a combination lab where they edit the daily rushes and an Irving station, his own immersion program. She laughed again. I wondered if she were putting me on. 2. Lucille was in the second room upstairs, wedged on a couch corner, hands and legs bound by hockey tape. Falling lines of mascara scraped her face, and her powder blue hair pointed like scorched grass. She hadn't been drinking, taking drugs, nothing like that. Her voice was helium-spiked. Cut the tape, now. Reggie shrugged absently and smiled a squirrely grin. Too much pink candy, he said. Out of control. Some just can't handle the oysters, I guess. Oysters, again with the goddamn oysters. He may have scored 33 goals last year, but he was pissing me off, and I ducked him. He bounced on his elbows. I deserve that, he said. We had a cup going, for Christ's sakes, and he was partying, taking drugs, and his girlfriend's fingers had turned a pulpy purple from a loss of circulation. Barbara, finding scissors from somewhere or other, crossed to Lucy with short stabs from her spiked heels. Lucy rubbed at sore wrists. She was only in a bra and panties and go-go boots. I draped my leather jacket over her shoulders. Outside, the sky was a black disk, and Lucy's gray eyes crescent moons. She was quietly laughing. Let's take Reggie's car. That'll really piss him off. A set of car keys jangled. Where she could have had them, I have no idea. We can drive in style. The car was a gold Lamborghini Miura in 1966. How Reggie could afford such a thing was beyond me. I was making $8,000 a year, him $12,500 with bonuses. Grain silo number 2, a large slab of concrete columns glowed like phosphorus as we made our way to the street. I'm not sure about this. Reggie's such an asshole, Lucy muttered. I am not a sex machine, she said. Our thighs bumped against the car. Come on, superstar. The harbor pinched at my nostrils. Seagulls splashed the waves. I don't know why. Maybe I was pissed at Reggie for asking his favor. Maybe it was the upturned nose and freckles that danced in Lucy's eyes like my girlfriend Stanna's. I don't know. But we climbed in. The truck with thick tires and side mirrors the size of toboggans drove past and pulled in front of Reggie's crate. The flatbed was crowded with corrugated drain pipes, underground tubing. Mayor Drapeau was transforming old Montreal into an upscale makeover for Expo 67. The truck's engine coughed to a stop, and then the driver hopped out, hands in pockets. He wore leathers with a WW1 aviator's cap, thick goggles, and python-like scarf topping off his Knights of the Errant Ensemble. His colors were Northern Arrows MC, an agile-topped fist clutching a quiver of crushed arrows. He quickly became sharp lines and slowly limbed and then vanished under dim lights. Someone slipped me something, Lucy repeated. The guy with the walking stick, she said. He's a drug dealer, Ducat. He messed with me before. The truck in front of us coughed to life. There had been 2 people in it, not one. White light, reverse gear. I yanked Lucy below the dash. The car's front end buckled, crumpled, glass and metal bashing, popping. I shuddered open the driver's side door, pulling Lucy across to the street. Plumbing poles shattered the windshield, shearing away the Lamborghini's roof. The second driver hopped out of the passenger door, ran through the fountain and beyond Nelson's column to open ground. I gave chase before my lungs exploded and I bent at the waist. When I returned, the truck and its poles were wedged to the wreckage. Lucy was gone. She left a note on the remains of the car's window. Andre Ducat used and abused me. I called the gendarme from a phone booth across the way. Had messed with me before. Drug dealer. By the time they arrived, the party had busted up. Hell, I wouldn't even know there had been a goddamn party. The smell of pot was replaced with the electricity of Lysol, and nothing was there. No women with finger-painted handprints on their chests, no naked men with their partial erections, and no ersatz jazz. But somewhere, I was pretty damn sure, Reggie was still searching for his damn keys. 3. Lucy was still missing. No one had seen her last night. And Stan was pissed. She'd been interviewing Lucy for an expose to appear in the Montreal Gazette and grown attached to the kid. Anger and frustration darkened her pale blue eyes. How could you have left her? I pushed back from the table, popped an ankle on the top of a knee, and absently played with my runny eggs. Practice was scheduled for 3. Stanley Cup Game 5 was tomorrow. And now I was investigating a kidnapping. And I had fucked up, leaving the girl alone. Stand aside, flipping red hair behind her shoulder. When Lucy was a kid, she was taken from her mom and placed in Rochefort Asylum, Duplessis era, 1952-53. Lots of illegitimate kids were falsely placed in mental institutions, government-sanctioned orphanages to cloister away the fact that they existed. It was a Catholic-led conspiracy to promote the nuclear family. Stana shook her head. She was a wayward Catholic herself and had no problems talking so openly. I'm a Jew, so together we have a lot covered. She lit a parliament and exhaled violently. Anyway, at 14, Lucy escaped. At 18, she winds up an extra in Fireway. And now she's a stand-in for Simone, shot reverse shot sequences. Shot reverse shot? Lucy's hair was blue. How can she be a stand-in? The coloring, it would wreak havoc with the light meter. I don't know. Stana took a quick drag, blew smoke into the ceiling of my Sabre Grins flat. She said she was pissed at the director, something to do with sins of the past. Stana's fingertips tented. Ducat was the one-time director at Rochefort, and according to Lucille, performed strange experiments on the kids, even farmed some of them out, sex slaves to rich parishioners. She flecked away a tobacco ash from her tongue, took another drag. Some priests even took advantage, nuns too. I handed her the ribbon note I had found. Something here's not kosher. Look at the writing. The words are in a smooth scrawl, even spaces between letters. The words, they're too neat. Where's the urgency? Where's the fear? Stana slowly nodded. What are you suggesting? I don't know, but I'm not so sure that Lucy wrote this note. She tapped her lower lip. The story she was going to tell the Gazette would have blown the lid off the Catholic Church. Stana shrugged. I think Ducat has her. Drug dealer, messed with me. Time to talk to Ducat, I said. Henri Ducat now worked in a glass-walled building near the campus of McGill. He was Minister of Culture, some damn thing, since 1963, about the time Lucy escaped from the asylum. His office was paneled with a walnut desk the size of a Buick. On the walls, photographs, young girls, 11 to 14, Duplessis kids. An underprivileged group from rural Quebec that the government had sponsored and helped place in expensive private schools. He was proud to be part of that program. Yeah, and what about the other programs? Trafficking young kids to priests and nuns? Miss Younger, be careful of what you say, or I may press charges of slander. I have tapes, conversations with Lucy Drolet, the ramblings, in which she details deprivation experiments, electric shock therapy, being traded about for sexual favors, Bishop's cart. There is no truth. There are no witnesses. My witness is gone. Ducat tapped the edge of the blotter with square bulky fingers. He pointed to the wall of coffee cream file cabinets to his left. In the case files, if you read them, you find she frequently heard voices, schizophrenia, the note you handed me, use and abuse, delusion, frame job. She also called you a drug dealer, I said. Lies. And what about the other girls? The girls at last night's party, they looked 16, 15, farmed out from Rochefort. What party? His thin lips whitened the corners of his lips. You were there! Witnesses. I was never there. Another delusion. I have a high-ranking MP that can tell you I was with him. Those girls are Channing's girls, interns, editing, Foley work. And her husband assures me they are of age. He struggled from behind his desk, limped to the cabinets. His left leg from a war wound was shorter than his right. The glass handle to his walking stick had shadowy figures inside. One hovering and peered over another. A cabinet squalled metallically. Ducat thumbed through a series of composition books. Ah, here we are. He tossed them across the desk. Clipped to one of the books was a 4x5 photograph of Lucy at her ball. eyes full of sad knowledge that the world was full of hurt. Her sandy hair was in a page-white cut that made her look sexually ambiguous. Stan and I flipped pages. Ducat's fingers tapped at the blotter's edge. Those are Lucy's journals, around the time of the break. The images surreal, the thoughts incoherent. Observe the handwriting. We did. The letters appeared to be scribbled by a broken hand, lines leaning left. By contrast, the lines to the lettering in the note were upright, straight. Moreover, there were no bubbles in the tails of the D's to used and abused, just straight, skinny downstrokes. Lucy did not write this note, I said. She's a lefty. Stan remembered Lucy popping cap bottles of Cokes at the edge of our kitchen's countertop with the left hand. I'm being set up, Ducat said. Like I said, a frame job. All right, that's where I'll stop.